now is the time to honor a man and his legacy, and that is a man that we lost way too soon. Too soon.
Mm-hmm.
And that is John Huber, better known as Brodie Lee. And I'm so annoyed because I ordered a shirt on Collar Elbow, the tribute shirt for Brodie Lee, which all the proceeds go to his family. Of course, Pro Wrestling Tees is doing the same thing. And I thought the shirt would get in today. Unfortunately, it did not. So I will wear it next week on the air.
Okay.
But I have my Bray Wyatt shirt on in honor of him being a part of the Wyatt family and everything like that. And
So
I
actually want to talk about when I got the announcement. So I happened to be like finishing up work at Publix, and at first when I got a text from you saying Brodie Lee passed away, and I'm like, there's no way. This has to be a troll. This has to be fake. And I Googled it, and I could just not believe to see the amount of reports that were coming out, and that is that Brodie Lee passed away from a lung issue at age 41. I was in absolute shock and disbelief because this man had just joined AEW a couple months ago as the leader of the Dark Order, and that's what kicked off his AEW career. As a wrestling fan, this hit me hard because I really grew up with Luke Harper / Brodie Lee in the Wyatt family, and the name, it's something that's hard to process. It's just something that you can't really get it off your mind because you're seeing all the support, all the love and support from all the wrestling fans in the community. You're seeing all of the support from the wrestlers themselves, the staff members, everybody. And when I think about Brodie Lee and his wrestling career, I remember the things he accomplished, becoming the Intercontinental Champion in WWE and winning the Tag Team Championship belts, as well as the memorable matches and feuds with The Shield. This man had so much talent, and not only did he have respect in the locker room, but he was loved by his peers. And when you see the stories on Twitter from top names in the business, you just knew that people really loved him. And it was heartbreaking for a lot of those people, and it was heartbreaking for me to read all these messages because these people shared the ring with him. You got comments from Eric Rowan, Bray Wyatt, Seth Rollins, Sami Zayn, Evil Uno, and so many stars of the ring who say what a kind soul he was and how much he cared about his family and friends. And my favorite moments with Brodie Lee were his matches against Roman Reigns and his promos because he was such an incredibly gifted performer and could really go toe-to-toe with heavy hitters in the ring.
I have a lot to say, and Alex, you know this, and that's why Alex went first. So thank you for that, Alex. That was awesome. If you're, like I said, if you don't mind, I'll take the floor right now because there's a lot to say and process and everything like that. I said it from Twitter last week, and by the way, if you can follow us, I believe we're at Alex. What's your Twitter handle?
At Show Slows, and Josh is at Josh Silverberg.
Yeah, and if you haven't followed it, I said this past week, this is going to be the most emotional show for me to watch since Eddie Guerrero passed away, and I remember.
Yeah, it's sad, dude.
Alex, you were definitely too young for the Eddie Guerrero show, but I
was way too young for that.
I was in high school. I had an Eddie Guerrero tribute shirt. And that was a hard show to watch only because of how sudden everything happened.
Yeah.
And with this, another thing, I mean, one moment he's walking out with the TNT Championship against Cody in a dog collar match. 2 months later, he's passed away from a lung issue. And, there were a couple of things that with Brodie Lee that stood out to you. One, the Wyatt family is one of my favorite factions of all time. Alex,
that was a great faction.
I mean, that was something. I mean, I'm wearing my Bray Wyatt shirt. That was something that I look back on, and I see with him, Bray Wyatt, Braun Strowman, Eric Rowan. I mean, powerful faction. How amazing they were. I mean, I just remember when Luke Harper used to scream, yeah, and he would just slap somebody in the face every single time. It was the funniest thing, and that was cool of Alexa Bliss to do that, by the way, on Monday when she was in her playground. She did the yeah thing, and then, of course, Drew McIntyre and Tom Phillips saying it's Monday. You know what that means. I thought that was phenomenal, and just little things like that here and there were great. Look, what this man leaves behind is something that um, so few in this world can have, and that's a legacy.
Mm-hmm.
And to see Brodie Lee Jr. come out as -1, um, kudos to AEW for the tribute that they did, and we'll
Yeah,
get to that.
we'll get into that a little bit later on.
Yeah, and
So.
we'll get to that in a few minutes about the job they did and everything like that. And then we'll end the segment with an interesting question I have for you, Alex. You don't know what the question is yet, and I'm not going to tell you because I want to get your thoughts off the spur of the moment.
But I do have a question for you.
Okay.
This is probably going to come to the heart for you.
Yeah.
If you had a chance to meet Brodie before his passing, what would be the one thing you would say to him? Like, what one question would you have for him?
Oh man, so for me, I would absolutely. What I would love to say to him, I said, "What is this?" First off, I would say, you're this big, ginormous monster in the ring, but how are you outside the ring? How is your personal life with everything like that? How are you able to comprehend both your personal and your professional life? That's one thing I would ask him. And another thing was, I would say to him, I get the, I would ask him, there's one guy I can compare you to, and I want to know who you think you wrestle as. I would say, do you take your style after Bruiser Brody? Bruiser Brody, for those that don't know who Bruiser Brody was, Bruiser Brody also died at a very unfortunate time after being stabbed in a show in Puerto Rico, in the locker room. And Bruiser Brody had this beard. He was a monster. He was nasty in the ring, but outside the ring, he had a gifted life, children, his wife, and he cared and so much. And I would ask Brodie Lee, how can you take your professional life and manage it with your personal life as well? And two, who is your wrestling style after? And he would, because I would tell him straight out and say, you remind me of Bruiser Brody. That's what I would ask him. I would want to pick his brain. I would want to pick his brain, see what he thinks, see how he feels. You know what I mean? What are his possible thoughts? Who does he wrestle after with the running lariat clothesline? The way he does it. Can I just say one thing? If you didn't watch the BTE episode of the tribute to him, funny stuff that they did. Was really funny. My God, it was so funny. I mean, between the paper throwing and John Silver.
Even the clips from Up, Down, Down were funny.
They were the Xavier Woods. Oh my God. But the BTE stuff is just so, I mean, when he literally calls Evil Uno and John Silver and Alex Reynolds peckerheads, and they couldn't stop laughing. I mean, it was just funny. And then he showed them, because Alex Reynolds said he was at, what was it? Archery. He was at archery camp to learn how to do a circumcision on his father. And Brodie Lee takes the robe off. You mean like this? And he was naked under the robe, and everybody was like, whoa, you know what I mean? And then Brodie Lee goes, hey, you're welcome. I just thought if you haven't watched that BTE episode yet, it was good stuff, man. I mean, because you look at him back in WWE, and he was so serious as Luke Harper, and you look at how much fun he had with, and he was very serious with his character.
Yeah, so he was.
That's what John Silver and Alex Reynolds said it.
I remember how serious he was of his character. There were times, like when I saw him go up against the Shield, there were times where him and Roman Reigns would just have a stare down, and they would just really go to work on each other, just like blow after blow. And then there was one time where Luke Harper and Dean Ambrose had a match, and that I don't remember what match it was exactly. I think it was it Yeah, it was the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. That match where the Wyatt family were just going to work on the Shield. That was one of my favorite matches with Luke Harper and the Wyatt family.
I mean, you look back at so much, but even on BTE, it was so funny when Alex Reynolds and John Silver literally said, because they would laugh at Brodie Lee when he would do his segments, and then the thing was, Brodie Lee knew they were laughing, so he would basically say to him, he would say two things. He said, he would say, "Are you crying? Are you crying?" Because you want to keep it going. And don't mind my language when I say this here. Another great thing that he said was he used to call them. I love when when John Silver wore the robe and Alex Reynolds has him on his shoulders. And then John Silver goes, "Who has papers for me? Who's got papers, you little bitch?" And then I'll say Brodie Lee comes in. "Did somebody say little bitch?"
My favorite thing, my favorite thing was with the Dark Order when Evil Uno would come out with Brodie Lee, and Brodie Lee would just turn and look at Evil Uno, and Evil Uno would have a kendo stick, and he would make him snap the kendo stick over his head.
It was always the papers, man. It was always the papers. The papers were the best. You know what I mean? They were awesome, but it's amazing. He was,
he had so much influence on the locker room, and
look at the outpourings. Look at the outpouring.
Yeah,
stuff that has come out for him. I mean, and look, I'm keeping it together this episode. I warned Alex beforehand.
Yeah, he did.
And when I saw his son come out in the little tux, with the 10 mask on, and just see him, just see him even with the kendo stick to hit MJF with the kendo stick, and then to see Orange Cassidy do the little hand thing with him before his match, and then put the boots in the thing.
We're seeing Adam Cole sell to him. That was great.
That was awesome. If you saw that video, so Adam Cole was in attendance, and Adam Cole sold him. Kenny Omega sold to him. You know what I mean? And AEW giving him a contract for when he's old enough, I think it's
just unbelievable.
I'll tell you this. Tony Khan damn sure doesn't know how to run a football team, but he knows how to run a wrestling program. Mm-hmm. And that's something I could appreciate. And when I see it, and you saw, when they played the song "Oh 55" by Tom Waits, and it was just something that when you saw that tribute video that song was perfect about "Oh 55." When you listen to the lyrics of, my life went so quickly, I went lickety splickety. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When I waked up at 6 a.m. and I drove off, you know what I mean? And when you see that, you hear those lyrics and you say, yeah, this resonates with what he was. He left our life so quickly. And what's amazing is even people that don't even know him,
people that didn't
Sting mentioned him on Twitter.
Yeah.
Darby Allin painted his face with Brodie Lee with the name Brodie Lee on his face all over the place. And you even saw it on WWE.
During AEW's tribute show, you saw the clips from the video packages from Jon Moxley, Chris Jericho, Eddie Kingston. My favorite one was the one from Chris Jericho when he said that he had known Luke Harper for his whole career, and one day Luke Harper stopped by to visit Chris Jericho, and Chris Jericho has this dog that doesn't like anybody, is like afraid of humans. And when Brodie Lee walked in his house, the dog immediately came up to him and started licking his hand. And he said that's how you knew Brodie Lee was special.
Absolutely. I mean, you look at it that way. And then, of course, by the way, kudos to Lance Archer.
Yeah, the Lance Archer.
He actually went to the back, and he was on Tony Schiavone's podcast after the show was over, and he said that the first thing that happened was he got to the back, and Amanda, his wife, hugged him. Brodie Lee's wife hugged him because he did the Luke Harper with the clothes, with the white beater and the jeans and the bandana and everything like that. And I just thought that was so classy of him to do something like that.
Yeah, it definitely was.
Look, that main event was awesome to have 10.
And be a part of that.
To be a part of that was great because that was Brodie Lee Jr.'s dream team of 10, Orange Cassidy, and Cody. And if you also notice, Ricky Starks, when he does his usual pose that he does with the thing, with the arm out, he also did this for a second, quick second, with the hands for the Dark Order sign. John Silver with the trunks. doing that for Brodie Lee because that was for Brodie Lee's trunks, and instead he had John Silver's size and his name on it.